Well guys, this is it. We somehow made our way to the 6th and the final wave for the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass DLC. So this means we've only got 2 cups left and 8 tracks to go. So this means this might actually be the final weekend in terms of the forms of Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U, plus Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Nintendo Switch, for our video content for the Mexi Toys YouTube channel. So, anyways, hey, what's up ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, aka the Blue Blur, aka Blue Justice, and I am back for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos, as you probably expect at this point in time. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Mario Kart 8 for the Nintendo Wii U, plus Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Nintendo Switch, while we're still playing through the Booster Course Pass DLC. So, last time, we've essentially able to went into the Cherry Cup, and overall, the Cherry Cup is really awesome, at least for my circumstances anyway, which is especially noticeable because you probably already know about it ever since in last week. To be more specifically, last Sunday, so that's roughly about 6 days ago at this point. So, relatively speaking, nothing else to say about this, I guess. So, yeah, today for this video is that, well, specifically not only for today, but also for tomorrow as well, for the final weekend, for the sake of the forms of the Mario Kart 8 plus Mario Kart 8 Deluxe content-wise. And because of that, we are now entering into the 6th and the final wave for the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass DLC. And because of that, the next cup we're going to be hit on to next, and that's what appears to be the Acorn Cup. And the character choice this time around though we'll go for is Piranha, just because we'll feel like it. Especially noticeable that, I will admit though right away, I don't think it's possible we can able to actually see not only Baby Peach, but also with the forms of Baby Daisy in action, as well as the forms of other remaining Koopalings, which there are, I would say, Larry and Lemmy Koopa. Well, that's just mainly because at this point in time, we've only got 2 cups left for, you know, the Booster Course Pass DLC. So, relatively speaking, I'm afraid to tell you that, well, we've only got 2 characters left for certain choices anyway. So, either way, let's go back onto the forms of that particular Booster Course Pass menu, and because of that, we're going to be jumped right into the Acorn Cup. So, as far as I'm aware, for Wave 6, or should I say the final wave, in terms of the forms of the Booster Course Pass DLC, I believe Wave 6 did somehow came out during the forms of the 9th of November in 2023. So not only this actually is the final wave for the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass DLC, but it's also about the fact that this is the final wave to be released in 2023. So yeah, I just want to classify that. So because of that, let's dive right into the first track in terms of the forms of the Acorn Cup, and this usually takes place in Rome and Avanti. And this comes from Mario Kart Tour, as we expected with most city courses, or city tracks to be more specific. But also, in terms of this particular location this is actually based off from, this usually is based off from not only in Rome, but from Italy itself. So because of that, because we can able to actually drive into the entire Colosseum, as far as you can definitely see. And on top of all that stuff though, it is pretty cool about the fact that Mario and the gang once again managed able to explore Italy ever since in Mario Party 7 in Grand Canal Board. Although, there won't be any canals or anything else like that, to be more specifically. So, relatively speaking, beggars can't be choosers, I guess. Which is especially noticeable considering that we're actually driving around Rome this time around. So, at the very least, that's something, I suppose. And also, certain rock wedges are designed in journey forms of this track. I think, relatively speaking, those are entirely based on Super Mario Bros. 3 design. So, I suppose that's pretty cool, though. Especially unlike any forms of how it does on the tour counterpart, that basically, though, we're able to come across into the exactly same modern design for rocky wrenches and stuff like that. So, yeah, I have no idea why I'm somehow questioning that. So, Anyways, a few things I want to explain for this point today is that, well, today's date, of course, is the 21st of December today, in some cases in 2024 today. Well, I was originally trying to able to explain something related to the third Sonic movie, which as a result, it already came out on the big screen since in yesterday, and I'm probably not going to spoil things too much just because, let me tell you, I had a really dang good time with the film. Especially concerning for the fact that, well, now I just need to wait until specifically next year, in 2025, for not only for its DVD release, but also with the Blu-ray release as well. So that way I can easily catch up with my DVD collection, alongside with my small Blu-ray shelf, which is especially noticeable concerning for the fact that my collection for Blu-ray collection is relatively small, especially concerning for the fact that, like we said this before, we are most likely going to be getting certain Blu-ray things based off of my favorite franchises as of now. So, for instance, about the fact that we still got 2 Sonic movies on Blu-ray, as well as the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and of course the Simpsons movie that we've still got, as well as the My Little Pony the movie 2017, just because, you know, I still enjoy the film so much. So, anyway, but that'll be a topic for a later time, so... Anyways, let's move on to the next track in Acorn Cup, and this one appears to be DK Mountain. And this is obviously based off from Mario Kart Double Dash, and let me tell you, I was very happy to see DK Mountain to be returned during the forms of this game, not just because of this amazing visuals, but it's also about the fact that I will admit though right away, between this, alongside with the forms of Dino Jungle, I will admit DK Mountain is a lot more exciting compared to the forms of how it does it for Dino Jungle in my opinion. I mean, I have no issues with that particular track for Dino Jungle, but it's just that I feel like that DK Mountain is a lot more exciting in terms of sculpt and everything, but that's just how it is for me, plus because of my nostalgia memories for the sake of Mario Kart Double Dash anyway. Now, in terms of the forms of the actual changes in this particular track this time around though, obviously visuals aside, also I just realized is that there's quite a lot of DK barrels to be found around here, which I suppose no matter what though, they're just there for the sake of trying to get in your way at one point for the mountain section. And also I just realized about the fact that the actual the bridge itself is actually now in wiggly formation as opposed to like pure straight bridge. So I think something tells me though we can able to actually perform certain tricks and what have you. So anyway, and also, much like the forms of how it does it on DK Summit or DK Snowboard Cross in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe version, obviously we can able to actually activate the glider, so we can able to actually reach our way to the mountain site, so we can able to actually once again gain blast off onto the cannon, and potentially speaking of, I will say that both DK Mountain and DK Snowboard Cross or DK Summit, for those of you who lived in North America, both of those tracks are pretty fun to race through, especially considering for the fact that imagine if we still managed to play online for the Switch version, most notably for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, as opposed to the Wii U version, because obviously we can no longer access to online anymore for the original Mario Kart 8. So it kind of sucks honestly, but regardless of such though, we still managed to get ourselves the definitive version of Mario Kart 8 in my opinion, which is of course the Switch version, just because not only for, you know, the double items and stuff like that, which, speaking of which though, I kind of believe we've now reached onto the final stretch for the sake of the forms of the entire Boosticles Pass DLC, but not just with that, but with the entire Mario Kart 8 Let's Play itself. And yeah, it's kind of crazy kind of thinking about it, which is especially noticeable concerning for the fact that, well, obviously no matter what though, we have no idea what we're going to be planning to do next in terms of something related to the forms of Let's Plays department, not just by the forms of, presumably speaking, towards at the very end of 2024 before we move on to 2025, but also exponentially speaking though is about the fact that, well, speaking of which though, is that not only we somehow got 4 more days to go until Christmas Day is almost approaching in 2024, but also I believe we've only got 11 days to go until 2025 is approaching. So because of that, still, let me know in the comments down below for the question of the day. Are you guys really excited to see what 2025 actually has to offer? Let me know in the comments down below. So anyways, let's move on to the next track in the Acorn Cup, and this one appears to be Daisy Circuit, and this is obviously based off from Mario Kart Wii, so oh no, a pretty interesting choice, I might add. And it's actually kind of cool about the fact that we've actually got every single tracks based off from the entire Star Cup from Mario Kart Wii for the likes of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe itself. So, because after all, it's actually kind of weird they somehow managed able to go for those courses in a reverse order, in regards of the forms of certain tracks based off from Star Cup in Mario Kart Wii. Like, for instance, we've got Grumble Volcano at launch for the sake of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe itself. And on top of that, we also got Maple Treeway in the Rock Cup. And also we've got the Koopa Cave track from the Cherry Cup. And now we somehow got Daisy Circuit in the Acorn Cup. So, kind of interesting kind of thing about it. Oh, and also, during the forms of the DK Mountain track, much like the forms of how it does it on Mario Kart Wii version, basically though, they somehow managed to bring us the actual jump ramps that we can able to pull off certain tricks to able to get certain boosts, and on top of that there was a half pipe there, so somehow I forgot to mention about it. So now in terms of the forms of Daisy Circuit, of what specifically it does have some bit of changes around here, well, not by much, apart from the fact that they're now able to actually include dash panels in the actual lighthouse section, and there's also a pretty weird jump ramp that has somehow showed up. And lastly, the glider section, somewhere in the forms of the staircase, as you probably already noticed, ever since in lap 1. So, yeah, that's all there is to really think about when it comes to certain changes in this version, so yeah, that's what I can really say about that, I guess, apart from the lighting, of course. So, anyways, there's also another thing I want to mention, is that with the forms of DK Mountain in mind, that was technically the final track to be included in the actual Booster Course Pass for the likes of the Mario Kart Double Dash track lineup. So because of that, still no Wario Colosseum or Bowser's Castle or Rainbow Road anytime soon, maybe for the sake of the next Mario Kart at some point in the future, but we shall see what happens. So either way though, once again we've claimed first place at all, so yeah, pretty awesome and pretty substantial at the same time. Also I just realized that certain computer players are actually a little bit behind for some occasional moments for certain tracks, I just realized. Or perhaps even maybe because I just love using drifting so much, or perhaps even maybe I just have a lot of reliance of the forms of certain shortcuts I did somehow performed, but either way. So anyways, let's move on to the final track in the Acorn Cup, and that's what appears to be Piranha Cove. And this particular track did somehow make its appearance, or make its first appearance, since in Mario Kart Tour. So I think, relatively speaking though, that is technically the final Nitro track based on in Mario Kart Tour to be featured in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, technically speaking, for the Booster Course Pass DLC. Because there is technically one of those tracks that did not make the cut. That's what appears to be Piranha Plant Pipeline. Because the reason why that track is not going to be included on the Booster Course Pass DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is, potentially speaking though, is that some people pointed out that that particular track, as I mentioned earlier, that track is remarkably too similar to the forms of not only, well, for the North American version's case, it was Piranha Plant Slide, whilst compared to the European version, it was actually called Piranha Plant Pipeway, based on in Mario Kart 7 Racetrack. So because of that, I can totally see why that particular track, Piranha Plant Pipeline, was not going to make it into the Booster Course Pass DLC, because it is remarkably similar to that track. So, possibly understandable reasons, but still. So, anyway, also another thing too, recently Pinkie Pie just somehow managed to fetch some more mince pies, just because overall, like I said before, we're getting very close towards Christmas Day in 2024, so it might be a perfect opportunity to able to fetch some more mince pies and stuff like that, because I just love those mince pies. So yeah, you get the idea. And there's also another thing I want to mention, is that, well, happy 20th anniversary of the game's release of the forms of Cave Story, to be more specifically the PC version, because I know for a fact that some toys else has not mentioned about that through the past few days, including yesterday potentially, despite the fact that Cave Story just already became 20 years old since yesterday. specifically the PC version, which I can totally see why that Cave story every now and then just had multiple versions. Like, for instance, the PC version, like I mentioned earlier, there's also the one on the WiiWare on the Nintendo Wii, as well as the DSiWare for the Nintendo DSi, and there's also the one on the 3DS, on the 3DS eShop version or something like that, and now we actually have ourselves the Switch version. So because of that, yeah, pretty interesting about the fact that I have no idea why that Cave story did somehow ignore its releases for Microsoft stores, for Xbox, or PlayStation Network stores, or anything else like that for PS3, or 4, or 5, but either way though, I suppose beggars can't be choosers, I suppose. So, yeah, as you can tell for that particular Piranha Cove track, it does manage to most likely takes place in underwater, very similar to the defaults of how it does it for Dolphin Shores from the actual Mario Kart 8 game. But apart from those aside things though, it does manage to able to take place in multiple routes, based off from not only Piranha Cove 1, but also 2 and 3. So I just want to classify that. And overall, that track is actually really cool to end things off, and it's especially noticeable the reason why we choose PD Piranha on this cup, mainly because we did somehow see the actual statue structure for PD Piranha in one of those specific sections. So, although despite the fact that the actual highlight reel does manage to take place in DK Mountain, but that's okay though, because DK Mountain is the best thing about this particular cup for me anyway, because I am super happy to see this track in gorgeous HD visuals and all that stuff. So with that being said, 11 cups down and only one more to go, and because of that, well, we're now moving on to the final, the true final ending conclusion for the entire Boosticles Pass DLC. Well, by that time until tomorrow anyway. So, once again, we've somehow claimed the glorious gold trophy, standard stuff for the most part, and with that said, we got the endings off here. So join me next time, or should I say tomorrow, for more of Let's Play of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Boosticles Pass DLC. We're going to be approaching on to the final cup in the entire DLC, along with the entire game itself. And that's what appears to be the Spiny Cup. So this will be interesting. So we'll see you guys until tomorrow. Later, fellas.